And welcome back. Thanks for starting off another week with us here at Your News Today. So glad to start one off on a forecast at least without a winter storm warning or threat. Now, keep in mind, we've got temperatures down into the single digits. I've got a couple of wind chill factors below zero, just a bit, but nothing to the tune of what we have endured for so many days. It isn't an improved forecast, and at the end of it, I've actually got a few days in the upper 40s, mind you. Some clouds and some rain to go along with them, but I think we'll all take the trade-off as we try to battle our way back to some sort of normalcy weather-wise. Now, that also means that we'll hopefully get back to some sort of a normal groove reporting-wise as well, not have to focus so much of our efforts and time on the weather. We will talk about your forecast tonight. There is a word of warning in there. No warning issues or warnings or advisories issued, mind you, but we have some things to talk about weather-wise. I'll also go back and refer to a story that I broke for you on Friday, that in regards to the ruling handed down by Judge John David Preston throwing out the election for the judges race in McGoffin County in November. We'll have an update there. We'll talk about water woes with Mayor Pete Shepard in regards to all those phone calls that McGoffin and Sagersville water customers received over the weekend urging conservation, similar practices all across eastern Kentucky for similar reasons as well. And the district tournament, whether or not, will tip off tomorrow night. Day belated. We'll talk high school basketball as well. I do have an announcement pertaining to your garbage collection in McGoffin County. I spoke with Rumpke, Mary Ann Ward at the Rumpke Collection Service just earlier today, and they have been facing an uphill battle weather-wise and still are. They had high hopes last week, she tells me, as I told you then, of being able to at least pick up the business customers, commercial end of things, dumpsters, and things of that nature, and they tried. They even tried to do it by hand, having to empty the dumpsters by hand because that was the only way that they could do it, and it just was not a possibility. They were making rounds to area businesses today where they thought they would be able to collect in their normal fashion. They were also on their normal Monday route as of today, with the exception of those side roads that their supervisor has told them they simply are not permitted to go on at this time. So with the exception of those roads, which were still basically snow or ice covered, they were going to try to run their normal Monday route, and in addition pick up all the businesses as well. They expect that to take into tomorrow, but since Tuesday is a lesser day of collection amount for them, they hope to by tomorrow have today's route and tomorrow's route and the businesses all collected, with once again the exception of those roads they simply cannot pass on as of right now. And they're going to continue to do that as the week progresses. A normal route each day with the exception of those roads that they can't pass on with their vehicles. They're going to be working this Saturday as well to try to make up for some lost time. So your garbage, if they can get to you, if your road is passable, they'll be picking it up, maybe not the normal time of day, but on the normal day, hopefully the rest of this week. We'll touch base with Mary Ann in a few days and find out how well those efforts are doing. Let me pause. I've got a couple of things that should be ready by the time I get back from these local messages from our sponsors, I should say. When we get back, we'll talk about water woes. Mayor Pete Shepard shed some light on those calls that customers across Sagersville, McGoffin County were receiving urging conservation over the weekend. I'll be right back. Emergency management officials across the state and in Frankfort collectively say there was a possibility that up to 50,000 water customers were without the utility during the peak of outages across the state of Kentucky. Now, they've been working very hard across several counties, in eastern Kentucky primarily, but in other parts of the state as well, to restore services. In fact, 18 counties comprised about 40 to 45,000 households which were without water at the start of the week. Harlan, Pike, Clay County had some big numbers posted. McGoffin County and Sagersville did not have any numbers except for some isolated circumstances, but no major outages to report. However, it had gotten down to a very close call over the course of the weekend, and even in fact this evening they're still urging customers to conserve for another day or so, but barring any unforeseen circumstances, another power outage or another winter storm, which we don't have to worry about in the forecast, they believe it's a situation that they'll be able to endure and get back to normal in just about 24 to 48 hours.
The word of caution was spurred by all sorts of issues: lack of power, freezing and bursting pipes, and a fear of those freezing, keeping water running to try to prevent them from doing so.
Most of the calls we got was about the water. We'd put an alert on the countywide and with the rescue squad to people conserve water. With the electric being off on Friday was our downfall. It was off at the water plant for 7 hours, and it just shut our production down. And some of our tanks, everybody was, with the cold weather, was running water to keep the pipes from freezing. A lot of pipes had frozen burst, and they didn't know it, and just used a lot of water. And our tanks were getting low, and we just wanted everybody just to know we're not out of water. We just want them to conserve. Just be realistic about it. Look for leaks, and if you see a leak, call the county or the city, and we'll come out and fix them, because that's what's draining it. But right now we're holding our own. One of our pumps got damaged by a tree on Sunday that came down the river, and they had to pull it out today. And once they get it back in, and it should be back in and going by the time the telecast comes on tonight, and it'll get us about 250 more gallon a minute. So we're good. We just want everybody to be careful, you know, and not create a problem. Now, if the electric goes off tonight with the sub-zero weather, then we could be looking at a big problem. Okay, but hopefully, keep our fingers crossed, everything will be okay.
So, without any unforeseen power issues tonight, we don't expect any. Temperatures close to 0, but not 25 below. Hopefully, says the mayor, a day or
Probably
two should cure it.
When people quit being scared, and you know, and we get all the leaks fixed and all that. So I'd say a couple of days we should be back to normal. We're holding our own right now, like I say, and we've got our tank in town, the one we got at Church Street. We keeping it full. I mean, it's completely full. So for fires or emergencies, if we was to run out with the other tanks, we'd still have some pressure with it. So in case of emergency, we can release water out of it. But we hold it back in reserve. Our other tanks, like the one on Sawyer Branch, was the one that was down low, and it was about it got down to almost 2 foot, and we like to keep at least 6 foot in it to be just on the safe side, and it'll hold 13 foot. So it just we just want to be careful. Everybody be careful, and just conserve and be smart. That's it. Nothing out of our hands. I mean, our plant's producing great, and another thing is with all the water and the rain, the muddy water, it takes us longer to clean it, you know, and to get it to be able to drink. So it's just one little thing after another, but we're handling it. Water plant's doing great. All of our guys were out all weekend, looking for leaks, helping people get their water back on if it's froze off, and things like that. So it's good enough, it's under control.
And the flooding shouldn't be an issue. You can see by the water line that's erased the snow that it did get out of the banks just a bit, and it was out of the banks in some other areas, mind you. Hopefully, while the flooding's definitely not going to be an issue in the near term, power situations like the one we just had won't be an issue when generators, which were approved with some grant money, should be coming in sometime soon. In fact, they were to be in by the end of the year.
I reckon everything they build the generators after we get the grant money, is my understanding, and they're working on them. And we haven't got them. If we had that, we'd be no problem. We'd be great. We have to have a generator for the water plant and also one for the pumps at the river. So we're looking. I think we're getting two generators, and that shouldn't eliminate this kind of problem in the future. But we was hoping to have them for the winter. But somehow the grant money didn't get approved on time, or whatever, and yellow tape, whatever kind of tape, but it just didn't get approved. So.
Nothing on the community calendar as of yet, but I suspect a whole lot of things which have been postponed or are to be rescheduled will start to come back online now that the weather looks as though it's going to be a bit forgiving for the next few days and foreseeable future. But I do have some local announcements tonight, and I do have a couple of special ones as well, and those are brought to you by McGoffin Farm Bureau.
And if you want the truth, a birthday wish to Buck Bailey from family and friends might be one that I've already read. I know it came in last week, and with everything going on, we didn't get to do birthdays that day. I might have done it Friday, but just to cover my bases, a happy belated birthday tonight to Buck Bailey. Happy birthday to you, Buck. And a happy anniversary wish tonight goes out to Jennifer Jordan. Jennifer, it says as follows. Will you wish my wife, Jennifer Jordan, a happy anniversary on the 23rd day of February from her husband, Mitchell May? It's our first happy anniversary to Jennifer and Mitchell. And, of course, that's Jennifer Jordan May. You understood that, right? Couldn't get it all to fit on one line. With that said, the calendar announcements can be sent to us by any of the following means in front of you, and they're always free. Get them to us. We'll let everyone know what you've got planned. Turning to funeral service announcements, this Monday the 23rd, 50-year-old Gary Lynn Bays of Mount Sterling was laid to rest earlier today. The son of the late Lloyd Bays and Eva Mae Poe. He's survived by sons Joshua, Brandon, Matthew, and Andrew Bays, and daughters Tasha Cruz and Chanel Bays. Services once again held earlier today here in Sagersville in his honor. 50-year-old Gary Lynn Bays of Mount Sterling. 79-year-old Mary Rose Miller Castle of Gunlock passed away on yesterday's date. She was married to Richard Joe Castle, who survives. Visitation's been set for tomorrow evening after 6 and prior to services, which will start Wednesday morning at 11. All of which, visitation and services, will be from the McGoffin County Funeral Home Chapel, and burial will be thereafter at the Miller Cemetery at Trace. 48-year-old Lonnie Lynn Rowe of Catlettsburg passed away on Thursday, the son of the late Ernest and Alice Cole Rowe. He's survived by 2 sisters and 3 brothers. Visitation is going to be after 5 o'clock tomorrow and prior to services. They'll start Wednesday at 1. Visitation and services will take place at the Salyersville Funeral Home Chapel, and burial will be taking place afterwards at the Salyers Cemetery at Oakley. And I've also learned of the passing this evening of 46-year-old Marcella Helton of Mount Vernon, Kentucky, formerly of McGoffin County, who passed away on today's date. Arrangements are still incomplete, but being made at the McGoffin County Funeral Home, who will have those as soon as they are to be announced.
Just want to make mention that our snowman contest has wrapped up. I think the snow is pretty much all said and done for this round. We get another big one, we'll do it again. And I've got well more than a dozen or so, I think, and I just got them all captured as of today. And I got a decent idea as to whoever I get to make the decision this evening may lean toward. There were a couple of really outstanding ones, and they all were better than any of them that I did, because I just didn't get around to doing it, even though that was one of my main goals for the big snowfall. Nevertheless, I have a winner for you on tomorrow night's program, so tune in then. We really want to thank everyone for all the pictures that were submitted. I'll share all of them with you on tomorrow night's program. Well, as of this past Friday, I brought you the news of the ruling handed down just as it was brought over himself by Judge John David Preston, circuit judge who, of course, serves Johnson and Lawrence counties. He delivered the ruling in person to the Justice Center in McGoffin County this past Friday. Basically, after reading some 55 pages of the ruling, coming to the final decision he did was that the election of 2014, the November election this past November in McGoffin County, should be null and void, basically vacating the McGoffin County Judge's office.
And to be honest, that's really all I have to report this evening. In his order that was turned in this past Friday, after I went into details about some of the parts of the 55 pages for his ruling, his reasoning thereto, the judgment was rather short and to the point, saying, quote, "It was now therefore ordered and adjudged that the results of the election of November the 4th, 2014 election for the McGoffin County Judge Executive's race, and only that race, be set aside, throwing out the election for the Judge Executive's race in McGoffin County, and that the office of McGoffin County Judge Executive be deemed vacant," basically stripping McGoffin County Judge Executive Charles Doc Harden of his office. Also ordering that the plaintiff shall recover his court costs from the defendants in the case. And he said this was a final but appealable order. Now, I do understand that there are appeals and or other motions expected to be filed, but as of 4 o'clock this afternoon, just before closing, I spoke with Tanya Ward, Circuit Court Clerk of McGoffin County, which is where any and all, at this time, motions and or appeals will be filed. So there had been nothing filed on behalf of either party, but that she expected some papers into her office sometime soon. I think there's an 8-day time limit to appeal the case, and there's also the matter of as to whether or not Judge Harden, who I couldn't reach earlier today, who was out of his office, both offices, I do believe, will try to stay in his position as McGoffin County Judge Executive pending his appeal. But as of right now, nothing new to add.
Basketball. First time in all the years I've been here that the last portion of the season just got wiped away by the weather. That's indeed what happened. So now we're going to fast forward and skip a few games and go on to tournament action, which begins in the 57th and other districts tomorrow night after a day delay due to the weather.
So, a few games short for most everyone across the board. So, Johnson Central and the Golden Eagles and Coach Tommy McKenzie wrapped it up at 19-8 on the season. Their last game was over Ashland Blazer on the 12th. That was 86-49, putting Johnson Central second behind Betsy Lane in boys 15th region basketball. That also puts them in the 57th district tournament Wednesday night of this week. Central And, of course, the McGoffin County Hornets will play Wednesday, Game 1, 6:30. This year's district tournament is at Johnson Central. It's going to be a hard game for the Hornets as they're going up against the number 2 team in 15th Region basketball. But it will be Johnson Central hosting the Hornets on their home floor, like I said, coming up in just a few days on, well, tomorrow night. Now, also, tomorrow night, now that is Wednesday night for the boys, mind you. Keep that in mind. The boys play Wednesday. The girls play tomorrow night. The Lady Eagles of Johnson Central were playing the Lady Hornets of McGoffin County tomorrow night. This is a 4-way tie for first place in the girls' bracket, and McGoffin County and Johnson Central will pair up. The Lady Eagles of Johnson Central are third in 15th Region basketball against Shelby Valley and East Ridge. So McGoffin County boys and girls both have their work cut out for them. The last game for the Golden Eagles was against Painesville, 14-point victory on the 20th, and that put them at 16-11 on the season. They're 4-3 in district play, and they're taking on McGoffin County tomorrow night. Once again, that is Game 2. As for the Lady Hornets and the Hornets, well, we know where they're going to be playing and when and who in the district tournament. Here's how they wrapped up their seasons. The McGoffin County boys, who last played on February the 13th, 10 days ago before Snowmageddon, well, now finished up 9-17 on the season with 1 win in district play and 5 losses. And they are, as I said, taking on the boys of Johnson Central High School on Wednesday night, Game 1. That tip-off set for 6:30. And the Lady Hornets, who we, of course, have already referred to, will be playing the Golden Eagles, the Lady Eagles of Johnson Central, and that will be tomorrow night in Game 2. Tip-off set for 8:30 for the Lady Hornets. And then, of course, this comes after the Lady Hornets did wrap up their season with a 10-12 record, and it also comes after that loss to Breathitt County, a forfeit, if you will, after the Lady Hornets, and we've covered that, and their coach left Breathitt County after Coach Castle was ejected after 2 calls, which are still under review to some degree, we are told, but nevertheless, after his team followed him off the court, there's still some potential fines that have not been set. There's also an automatic 3-game suspension, so he will not be playing in postseason high school basketball. Assistant Coach Doug Green will be taking the helm. As for the exact fine and punishment, that has still not been handed down by Julian Carroll of the Kentucky High School Athletic Association Commission. We're still waiting to hear that word. So Assistant Coach Doug Green will be taking the Lady Hornets into battle against Central, and that is once again tomorrow night, Game 2. Painesville and the Tigers and Bill Runyon, a loss by 2 to Betsy Lane, 45-47 in their last game of the season. That was way back on the 10th, and they are taking on Sheldon Clark. That game of the 57th District Tournament will be Wednesday at 8:30. Wednesday at 8:30, Game 2 for the Tigers and Betsy Lane. Excuse me, the Tigers and Sheldon Clark. Can you tell it's Monday around here? As for the Lady Tigers, well, they had a loss to the Lady Eagles. We've already covered that. That was their last game of the season, too, on the 20th. They are taking on Sheldon Clark in 57th District Tournament action. The Lady Tigers and Sheldon Clark will face off, tip-off set for 6:30 tomorrow night in Game 1. This is after the Lady Tigers finished their season officially at 14-10 and even 4-4 in district play. Over in Morgan County, and Coach Perry, squeaker, 75-74, their final game over Lawrence County back on the 11th of February. It's been a couple of weeks nearly, and that was their last game of the season in 62nd District. They will be playing West Carter, and that tournament at West Carter this year. That tip-off set for 8 o'clock this Wednesday. The boys of Morgan County, 18-5 on the season, third in 16th Region basketball, and they're 3-4 in district play. However, the Lady Cougars have had a much rougher go of it. 19-59 was the score of their last game on the 12th. That was against East Carter. 4 wins, 20 losses for the Lady Cougars. They will be taking on West Carter at East Carter, if I get that correct, tomorrow, Wednesday night, tip-off set for 6 o'clock for the Lady Cougars. And it's still Monday, and I'm out of time, never out of news. Been a long way getting back into the groove of things. Almost like I've been gone due to all the the snow and everything else. It just had us everything out of kilter. But we'll get back to it tomorrow. Tonight, though, we'll see a low of 4 degrees, partly cloudy skies, and north wind becoming calm. So tonight, 4 degrees looks to be our nighttime low. No real wind chill factors as the winds will be dying down soon. Tomorrow, the sunshine returns, 32 tomorrow. We will have some winds blustering about, though. Calm wind becoming southwest 5 to 7 in the morning. In the early morning hours, we'll see a wind chill of around -2 degrees. The winds will become calm, and things will start to pick up and be more reasonable with around 32 and some sunshine, a low of 23 tomorrow night. Now, thereafter, we have some flurries in the forecast for Wednesday and around 33, and I'm out of time where I'd tell you more. The good news is we've got winter weather all week, nighttime lows, single digits, couple of occasions, but we've got upper 40s for this weekend. Joy, joy, joy. I'll tell you about that, the clouds and the rain associated with it, but much more when we see you back here tomorrow night for more Your News Today. Good night.